For 99% of human history, classrooms did not exist. You wake before sunrise in a world without bells, desks, worksheets, or anyone telling you when to pay attention. The fire has collapsed into red embers. Cold air moves through the camp. Around you, adults are already working. One feeds dry branches into the flames. Another repairs a broken tool. A caregiver calms a baby, while two hunters quietly discuss tracks near the edge of the trees. No one announces the lesson. No one writes instructions on a board. But the moment you open your eyes, you begin to learn. You watch which wood catches quickly and which keeps the fire alive. You hear the names of plants, animals, places, and people. You notice who is trusted, who is joking, who is angry, and whose voice means danger. The entire community is teaching you, even when nobody is trying to teach. For ancient children, attention was not something adults had to force. The world earned it. Look away and you might miss the movement of a poisonous snake in the grass. Fail to notice which berries an older gatherer avoids, and the mistake could make you sick. Ignore the tone in someone's voice, and you might not realize that the group is leaving, a stranger is approaching, or danger is close. Every detail could matter. Every person around you carried knowledge your survival might eventually depend on.
When the hunters leave, you follow if you are old enough. At first, you carry nothing important. You walk behind the adults and watch their eyes more than their feet. Someone stops suddenly. You stop too. A hunter crouches beside a track. You crouch beside him. He touches the soil, smells the air, studies a broken stem, and looks toward the trees. You do not yet understand everything he sees, but your mind is recording the sequence. Track, pause, listen, move. Later, you follow the gatherers. They do not simply point at a plant and recite its name. They show you where it grows after rain, which part is edible, how its leaves change with the seasons, and what it resembles when it is dangerous. The lesson is not just the plant. It is the plant, the weather, the landscape, the person guiding you, and the consequences of choosing correctly. All of it becomes connected in memory. Nearby, a craftsperson scrapes a hide. You study the angle of the tool and copy the pressure. Your first attempt tears the material. Nobody hands you a written correction. Someone reaches over, adjusts your grip, and lets you try again. A caregiver teaches a younger child to carry water. An older child watches closely, then repeats the same gestures with a sibling. Knowledge moves through the group like fire passing from one branch to another. But ancient children were not simply copying movements. They were learning what mattered, when to act, and how to become useful. Imitation turned ordinary life into a living curriculum. You learned which tools adults protected and which ones they trusted you to handle. You learned language inside real conversations, not isolated vocabulary lists. Gestures taught respect, warning, invitation, and affection before you could explain any of them. Rituals made belonging physical, the same songs, the same movements, the same objects handled in the same meaningful order. Social rules were absorbed through context. You learned when to speak, when to wait, who received food first, how to approach someone grieving, how to tease without crossing a line, and how to repair the damage when you did. No one needed to give you a complete manual of human behavior. You watched what happened when someone broke a rule. You noticed the laughter, the silence, the correction, or the sudden loss of trust. And then there was play. To a modern adult, children pretending to hunt, build shelters, or care for a younger sibling may look distracted. In reality, play is rehearsal disguised as freedom. A stick becomes a spear. A patch of dirt becomes a village. One child becomes the hunter, another the animal, and a third the person injured during the chase. The rules change halfway through. Someone argues that the game is unfair. Someone invents a new rule.
The group accepts it or rejects it. From the outside, it looks like noise. Inside the child's mind, it is simulation. Self-directed play lets you experiment without paying the full cost of failure. You test how far you can throw, how high you can climb, how quietly you can hide, and how convincingly you can persuade someone else. You learn to lead, follow, negotiate, read emotions, predict reactions, and change a plan when it collapses. You discover that other people have goals of their own. You discover that rules can be created, challenged, and repaired. You discover that failure does not always end the game. Sometimes it gives you a better strategy.
This may help explain why play appears across human cultures and why it is so difficult to eliminate, even when adults try. The child is not avoiding learning. The child is choosing a form of learning that makes knowledge usable. Now place that ancient learner beside a modern student. One child spends the morning moving through a real environment, copying skills connected to food, safety, relationships, and status. The other is asked to sit still for hours, absorb abstract information, and wait years before being allowed to participate in anything meaningful. The modern child may be told that mathematics matters, but not shown how it connects to building, trading, measuring, or solving a real problem.
They may memorize facts about nature while being discouraged from touching the soil outside. They may study communication while being punished for speaking to the person beside them. Their body is ready to explore, imitate, and act. The system often interprets movement as misbehavior and curiosity as interruption. But imitation alone cannot explain why some children learn faster, remember longer, and become trusted members of a group. The missing ingredient is participation. Ancient learning did not keep children permanently on the sidelines. They joined real tasks gradually. First they watched, then they carried something small. Next they attempted the easier part. An adult or older child corrected them. As their skill grew, so did their responsibility. You might begin by gathering kindling. Then you learn which wood burns best. Later you prepare the fire yourself. Eventually you teach someone younger. You might watch an animal being butchered, pass the tools, practice cutting, and finally take responsibility for one section of the work. At every stage, the purpose is visible. You can see who depends on the task and what happens when it is done well. Knowledge is not floating in isolation. It is attached to a person, a place, a need, and a consequence. That attachment gives memory its weight. The best hunter is not only demonstrating technique.
They are demonstrating patience, caution, confidence, and reputation. The best storyteller is not merely preserving information. They are binding memory to suspense, fear, humor, and identity. A ceremony transforms invisible rules into physical action. A song preserves the order of tasks. A warning about a dangerous valley survives because it is connected to a place, a dramatic event, and the voice of someone respected. A child does not simply remember what was said. The child remembers who taught it, how it felt, and why everyone cared. This is where the ancient classroom becomes more powerful than it first appears. It is not only a place where skills are transmitted, it is a system for showing you what deserves your attention. Every gesture carries a message. The way an adult shares food, the way they react to an injured person, the way they speak to a stranger, the way they settle a conflict when no formal authority is present. You are watching all of it, and you are quietly deciding what kind of human being survives here. Now return to the modern classroom. An ancient brain, shaped by movement, imitation, emotional connection, and immediate purpose, is placed in a chair for hours. It is told to suppress its body, delay its questions, ignore the people around it, and absorb symbols disconnected from direct experience. What happens next?
We often say that children cannot pay attention, but perhaps that is not the real problem. Perhaps attention awakens when learning feels real, social, and worth copying. A child can spend an hour watching someone build a shelter, repair a bicycle, draw a creature, play a game, or tell a frightening story. That same child may struggle to endure 10 minutes of information presented without context. That is not necessarily laziness. It may be ancient intelligence searching for relevance. Who knows this? Why does it matter? What can I do with it? What happens if I try? Who will notice if I become good at it? These questions are not signs of a distracted mind. They may be the operating system of a learning mind. When education gives children opportunities to move, imitate, experiment, explain, create, and contribute, it is not abandoning discipline. It is reconnecting learning with the conditions under which human intelligence evolved. This does not mean every lesson should become unstructured chaos or that books and classrooms are useless. It means abstract knowledge becomes more powerful when it returns to human purpose. Let a child see an idea used by someone they respect. Let them try it personally, receive feedback, and use it to solve a real problem. The information gains weight. It becomes more than an answer to memorize for a test.
it becomes part of who they are. For most of human history, children learned by watching everything: how adults handled tools, treated strangers, shared food, responded to danger, spoke to the weak, settled disputes, and behaved when nobody was giving instructions. And that leaves us with an uncomfortable question. If our ancestors shaped children through everything they did, what are today's children learning simply by watching us? Are they learning that attention belongs only to screens? That work is something to endure until real life begins? That curiosity should be silenced whenever it becomes inconvenient? Or are they watching us create, repair, listen, explore, and participate in a world worth inheriting? The ancient classroom never disappeared. It moved into every home, every conversation, every gesture, and every example. And whether we realize it or not, children are still enrolled. Subscribe to discover how the lives of our ancestors still shape who we are today.